All right, good morning. It is 10 o'clock, so we will get started. Now, if you see me a little sidetracked, is because I'm trying to keep track of the chat, trying to allow people in, and of course, do the presentation. So bear with me, okay? My name is Monica Aguirre, and I will be hosting this series. It's called Balanced Living. It's 5 lessons. And it's just a lot of maybe skills that we already have and maybe we're not putting to practice. So it's a nice reminder of what sometimes we let go of certain good habits that we used to have and we get overwhelmed with different responsibilities that we have in our lives and we lose balance. We lose that focus and we start feeling overwhelmed, which in turn, of course, impacts our health, our moods, sometimes our finances, things like that. So each lesson is going to be focused on a different aspect of our lives. Um, but all in all, I think we're going to hear tidbits and different ideas that maybe we had already known about and weren't putting into practice, or maybe they're ideas that are completely brand new to us. Either way, I think we have found that this particular curriculum has been helpful to a lot of people, even if it is a refresher on how do we get back to basics and how do we kind of gain control of our lives when things sometimes feel so out of control, right? Especially as the kids say, my kids, I have a 26 and a 21 and a 17, and the ones in their 20s say, man, adulting stinks. They don't like it. I warned them about that, right? I warned them, but they didn't listen. So adulting is difficult. It's not as simple as we thought maybe when we were young. We glorified it at times, right? We wanted to be adults, and it's a little bit harder. For those of you who joined us right now, if you go to your chat, at the very top, I put a link, and that link is to the handouts for this lesson. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen, so we can go ahead and get started. And like I said, again, um, if you see me a little distracted, it is because I'm trying to keep up with everything. In some of the other sessions, I'm going to have a coworker co-present with me and we'll facilitate together. And it's always better to have two people, especially virtually. So one of us can keep track of the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to interrupt me or to write on the chat. So I'm going to try to see if I can look at our chat as well. There we go. Yeah, I promise to try my best. It says access denied. Okay, I apologize for that. Okay, so what I will do then, you know what? I probably did the link and made it restricted for some reason. Juanita, what I'll do is I will email it to you guys. So we'll do that because now it's a little too late for that. Or if you have a cell phone, look at the QR code on the screen and you can just use your phone and hover over that QR code with the camera, and that'll allow you to get the handouts as well. So just go to your camera on your phone. Pretend you're going to take a picture of your computer screen, hover over it, and you will get the, okay, let me try it too, because I practiced it. Let me see. Yep, they should show up. And if it says access denied, please tell me. I will email them to you guys, I promise. So don't worry about that. You don't necessarily need them for the lesson, but maybe you want to refer to them after we're done. And I apologize if you wanted to use it for this lesson. Hopefully you can. So let's go ahead and get started. So balanced living, what is that? Pretty much living a balanced life means individuals achieve greater balance when they do not let one area of your life control the rest of your life. So I know some of us tend to be very focused, for example, on our jobs, and we allow our jobs to take over. We find ourselves working on weekends, we find ourselves working in the evenings if we don't get stuff done at work. And all of a sudden, that part of our lives interferes with our family time or our rest or our taking care of our bodies, like going to the gym, things like that. So whenever we see that unbalance of one area of our lives taking over the rest of our to do things, then we're living an unbalanced life because we're not, you know, dedicating time to the things that are priority to us. Okay. So we're not in harmony. We feel kind of like, where did the time go? And I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, even though I feel like I'm working nonstop. Okay. Also, caring appropriately for all your areas. Sometimes as parents, you know, if you have kids, you know that we feel guilty. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time at work, and then I get out of work and I would like to exercise, but now I don't have time for that because then I don't get to spend time with my kids. So we neglect our health because we want to be able to work and spend time with our kids. Um, and also, either don't overdoing one area or underdoing another. So, for example, we could say, well, I'm already spending time with my kids, I'm already working, you know, maybe exercising or getting enough rest isn't so much of a priority. And guess what? Then here come the medical problems. So, either doing too much of one thing or not enough of the other. Obviously, you see that there's an imbalance there. So, we want to find a way where we can fit in all the things that are priority to us. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about time management. Okay. So some of us are better at it than others. You know, we have to admit, some people are, you know, they have 100 lists and they keep track of everything. And then others, if they remember, they'll get it done. If they don't remember, it just, oh, I forgot to do that. Right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to determine what our priorities are. You know, that's, I know it's easier said than done, but if we don't sit down and evaluate our priorities, we could easily get sucked into working on one area of our lives way too much, right? So we could, like I said, our job, you know, oh my gosh, I have deadlines at work, you know, at when I was at the office, everybody was interrupting me, talking to me. So now that I'm at home, I get to do, you know, this project, and all of a sudden you know, that's what's occupying your time for the most part. So you want to write a list of priorities in your life, um, and using time management tools, we're going to be able to hopefully find ways so you can dedicate time to all of them. So these are some of the priorities. You know, studies show that these priorities that you see on your screen are usually what people identify. So one is relationships, whether it be, you know, your extended family, if you have a spouse, if you have kids, or maybe best friends, like people that mean a lot to you in your life, what I call the chosen family, right? It's not so much genetic family, but it is the family that you know, people that are in your life that mean a lot to you. You know, how many times do we feel like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to my good friend in such a long time because I'm always so busy, you know, and we kind of neglect those relationships. Other is health. You know, we're so stressed, we don't get enough sleep. We're so busy, we don't get exercise. We're always on the run. So we're eating a lot of like junk food or fast food instead of eating healthy meals, you know. But it is a priority because if we get sick, guess what? We can't work. We can't do the things that we enjoy doing, or sometimes we can't do the things that we have to do. Learning. Some people love to always learn new things. So that may be a priority to some of you. Like maybe, you know, during the pandemic, one of my priorities was learning how to utilize, you know, technical stuff. So I've learned how to do, you know, iMovie videos and how to edit them. I didn't know how to do that. And it's simple enough, but if you don't try, you're never going to learn, right? So that was a priority since we were virtual. Um, I learned how to use Powtoons. It's like now my favorite way to do little mini movies or videos. But I had to learn, and it was a priority because we weren't doing face-to-face contact. So maybe for you guys, learning something new, maybe how to sew or how to, I don't know, craft or something. Um, for some people, it's work. You know, they have a desire to move up in their organization, or maybe, you know, get a better job. So you're putting in extra hours or taking on extra projects so you can have better evaluations and hopefully get a raise or move up. Some people, recreation. You know, some people say, you know what, I don't live to work, I work to live. And I want to travel, and that's a priority to me. So that may be one of your priorities. Also spirituality, whether it be meditating or praying or going to church. You know, sometimes you get so busy during the week. I'm new to San Antonio, so I come from a little town where there's enough time to do everything because we're so close. It's a very slow paced community. Here, you find yourself so busy during the week that on the weekends you catch up with the yard and the house. And if you don't make that time to go to service, you may your weekend will go and you didn't get to go to service. You didn't make it a priority. So, for some people that is important. So it's important that you write down what are your priorities. Okay. So what's recommended is not, you may have 10 top priorities, but let's say, what are your top 3 or 4? What are your top 3 or 4? So, like, for example, can you guys put on the chat, what would you consider to be your top 3 priorities? If you can put it on the chat, I want to see what people, because everybody's different and I don't know you guys personally. So, I don't know if you're married or have kids or don't, or, what your situation is. So can you put on on the chat what your top 3 priorities are? Juanita put health. Okay, taking care of your health, family, faith, work, and health. Very good. Thank you, Marianne. Anybody else? What are your priorities? Family, health, and work. Very good. Whitney, family, faith, health. I'm seeing a lot of kind of we see it, they're all very similar. So I agree. Mine, of course, is family, faith, family, health. Janice, I think we're all like the top, those are the top 3, right? Family, health, work, maybe in different orders, but they are top 3. And sometimes when we kind of look back, for those of us, I can say, like, Whitney and Janice, we say family, faith, health in different orders, but sometimes work, if you notice, what takes most of our time? Is it those 3? Or now, can you put on the chat what takes most of our time? Relationships, learning, since I'm retired. Oh, that's a good one, Juanita. Yes. Sometimes our relationships come from our coworkers, right? Those are kind of like our extended family. And now you're having to learn how to navigate now that you're retired. So you told me what's your priorities. Now tell me what takes up most of your time. So you told me your priorities, but what takes up most of your time? Work. Yep. Work is one of them, right, guys? Family, Anna, okay. Good. That's a good thing, because if that's one of your top priorities. So let me ask you, one thing that we need to analyze, that it is important to analyze, is you wrote your priorities here. And then we wrote what takes up most of our time. Are they jiving? And if the answer is at times, but not all the time, then we need to reevaluate, right? Because I can tell you my top priorities are my faith, my family, and my health, kind of like you guys. But what takes up most of my time is work. And then my family, because my family takes up a lot of time. But it's mostly work, right? We're here 8 hours. And then sometimes I'm one of those ones that if I didn't finish it here, I'm going to take it home. I had to learn to stop that, especially while working at home. It seemed like while working at home, and I don't know if it happened to you guys, when we were in quarantine, it's like we were working 24/7. It was so weird. Like it never stopped. At least here we leave the office and we try to leave everything behind. At home, it was like we were working nonstop. So look at your priorities, and you guys have those handouts. Look at your priorities and then look at what's really, for lack of a better word, sucking up most of your time. And are they jiving? If they're not jiving, we need to reevaluate, guys. We need to look at what's going on and what can we do to have the priorities and our time jive. Okay. Not that we're gonna, I know work is like, man, of course, if we won the lottery, we probably wouldn't go to work. We have to work, we know that. But do we want to allow our job to take over our lives? That's important. And how often should we reevaluate our priorities, guys? This is important. Our lives change. I think it was Juanita who said she retired. I almost bet that your priorities change, Juanita, because when you were at work, you had deadlines at work, you had projects to work on, and now that you're retired, those those priorities went away, and now you probably have new ones. So you reevaluate during, for example, uh, every year, maybe. You know how New Year's resolutions, we kind of look at our lives and say, oh, okay, I need to lose weight. Oh, okay, I need to save money, whatever the case may be. So maybe yearly, after a major life event, like you changed your job or you moved or you got married or maybe you got divorced or maybe now you have children or maybe your children, like in my case, I'm getting very close to being an empty nester. So before, when my priority was driving my kids around to practice, now it's not. Now it's finding stuff to do on the weekend without my kids, not feeling lonely. I mean, like now it's just me and my husband learning how to reconnect, right? Because before it was all about the kids. So reevaluate your priorities, periodically. Look at what needs to change. If something is in your life is causing you a lot of stress and you're like, you know what, I feel out of sorts, I don't know how to fix it, and I don't even know how to identify what's wrong, then we need to kind of sit down and meditate on it and maybe put it pen to paper and say, okay, what's going on? What's taking up my time? What am I not comfortable with that is happening in my life? That is super, super important. And sometimes that happens, you know? So one thing that is recommended, write a master list. Include everything on that master list. I mean, from the biggest, start with the biggest, most important thing to the littlest thing, like maybe cleaning out your closet or, cleaning out the medicine cabinet. Write everything down. Okay. Maybe put deadlines or key dates. So let me ask you, do you guys use, and you can just put yes or no on the chat because this is important. Do you guys use calendars? And you can put yes or no, like on the chat, please. And the reason I ask about calendars, guys, I have a very dear friend of mine who is a realtor. Excellent. Well, to some point, knows her business, but she is horrible at using a calendar. Well, what's the problem with being a realtor and not using a calendar? That you may have a showing somewhere and your client is waiting for you to see the property and you forget you have that showing and the client is like, hey, are you going to show up to open the house so I can see it? And we would play with her and we bought her a paper calendar and we're like, and you have a smartphone, put it on your phone. She would forget. And she'd be like, oh yeah, I'm on my way. When in reality, she was in the middle of lunch or something. She forgot she had scheduled that showing. So some people are just really bad at using calendars. But, if our life is that busy, we may want to, right? Whether it be on your phone or paper calendar. Me personally, I use both just because I need constant reminders of stuff. I feel like I have 100 things going on. So I use both. And I refer to both. And I can tell you at work, let me tell you why. Yesterday, my boss calls me at 5:30. For those of you who know my boss, there may be somebody here. At 5:30 saying, hey, last year in 2020, in January or February, did you do blah, 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 blah? And I was like, really? Like that was a year and a half ago? Well, I went to my paper calendar that I kept and it was at home because we were working from home and I was able to give her all the details of what I did January and February of 2020. So I was, happy about that. But it comes in handy. What days were you out on sick leave? I had it all there. So having a calendar, guys, if you're not into the habit of using one, they're really helpful. Just throwing it out there. And writing deadlines for yourself. So write your master list of priorities. Again, include all the big ones and the little ones. And then we go to a daily task list. Now, let me ask you this. Do you guys write a to-do list every day? Can you write on the chat yes or no? A daily task. If you saw mine, you'd laugh because it's pretty full. No? Oh, yeah. Okay, Marianne. No? Okay. Are you guys retired? Silvia. Oh, Juanita. Everybody's telling me no. Okay. Sometimes, Whitney. Okay. Interesting. Well, okay. So for time management, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you're retired, if you're working, I don't know your lives. I can tell you, I work full time. I used to have two jobs for about 12 years. I'm refuse to do that anymore. But 3 kids, 1 grandbaby, a husband, a house, 2 dogs, a cat, You're talking about craziness aside from the programs and work. So I most definitely do a daily task. But if you can see in the curriculum, I didn't write the curriculum. It is recommended that you do a daily task. Why? Because we may forget stuff, right? Maybe it's important to, I even put like if the dogs have doctor's appointments, if I have doctor's appointments, my programs. Uh, when I had plants, because I don't do plants anymore, I kind of simplified my life a little. But when I had plants, I had to put it on my daily task to water them based on their watering recommendations. Because if not, I'd forget and the plants would die. Like, I mean, it happened. So it is recommended that you write a daily task list appointments and schedule events, anything like maybe if you have a wedding or a party to go to, maybe 3 to 5 things of your master list so you can start working on them and then prioritize that list. And then look in your to-do list again, remember that list that you wrote of priorities, does it match? Are you matching your list of priorities with your to-do list? That's really, really important. Sometimes we waste a lot of time doing absolutely nothing fruitful. And then we wonder, where did the time go? So, one thing that is important is set limits, guys. Put a time limit for each task. Like, let's say you absolutely hate doing something like, your closet's a mess, you've got old clothes, new clothes, a ton of shoes, and you're like, I don't even know where to get started. Honestly, you're at that, or the garage, even worse. Set a time limit and put like, okay, I'm going to spend 1 hour every Saturday, working on the shoes, you know, and, set limits, put a time frame and only do that much. That way you see a little bit of progress happening. Um, Number of tasks to accomplish. What do you have? Like maybe 3 or 4 things to do, give it a time frame, and then move on. Okay. And then general limits. Like if people keep asking you to do stuff for them, like at work, hey, you want to be a part of this committee? You want to be part of that committee? Do you want to help us out in this project? I mean, if you don't get fired, it's okay to say no. I always tell people it's okay to say, like, you know what, I wish I could, but right now I'm kind of booked solid. It's okay to say no. Uh, Even to our family members. Remember I said I have a grandbaby, so I'm like the go-to grandma to babysit. I have to say no. As much as I love spending time with my grandbaby, it's time to say no sometimes. Sylvia was mentioning like 1 or 2 days I write. Oh, okay, so to your weekly. Okay, very good. So Sylvia was saying that like 1 or 2 days, she writes her to-do list for the week. But then you may have another thing like appointments that you added to your weekly list. Very good. So it's okay to set limits, guys. It's okay to say no to family if it's going to be difficult and it's not an emergency. Your time is valuable, and as much as we love our family members and as much as we want to please our boss or whatever, um, if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, then you need to say no. Sometimes when we say yes to too many things, we one perform poorly, we get in a bad mood and then we end up getting sick. So it's okay to say no. And you may be asked, how come? And you can explain why. I feel stressed, I feel overwhelmed, and I don't think I will be very effective at what you're asking me to do. As simple as that. So when you do have your to-do list, okay, focus at one thing at a time. A lot of people say, oh, I'm great at multitasking. No, we're not. Our brain doesn't work that way. When we multitask, we dilute the quality of our work, guys. We really do dilute it. We'll do it, we'll get it done, but it's going to be shoddy work and we're going to miss things. Put your time frame and focus on that particular task for that time frame. If it was an hour, give it an hour of your undivided attention so you can do quality work, whether it be at home or it be at work. you know uh, I know it's difficult sometimes because we have a lot of demands all around us, but that's when we get to kind of discipline ourselves and discipline the people around us, the people in our lives. They have to be disciplined to respecting us and respecting our time. And sometimes we may have a hard time setting those type of limits. Do the most important things at your peak energy time. Um, I can't say how important that is. I went through some medical treatments that really took a toll on my health. So even now, I'm like a gasoline tank. In the morning, I'm super hyper, da, 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 and as the time goes on, I have an energy dump. So what is important? We're having this meeting, we're having this at 10 a.m. Because if I do it at 6 p.m., I won't have this energy. I won't. That energy dump is going to go down. I need a little break. So do the most important things when you have the energy and the focus, mental focus to do them. Okay. Try to avoid interruptions. So how do you avoid interruptions? If you're at work, close the door, put a do not disturb sign. Tell if you have a secretary or whatever, hold the calls. If you have family at home, tell the kids, I'm going to be busy. Do not interrupt me unless it's an emergency. Those kind of things. It's okay to do. Sometimes we leave, that open door policy. Hey, call me anytime you need anything. Mm, Be careful with, saying that because people will take you up on it and then you're overwhelmed and you're not taking care of your business. And build in a margin. What does that mean? It means it, and let me tell you, mine's pretty, it's called what my kids call a fluid schedule to some point. But if you look at my to-do list, I don't know if you guys can see it. Oh, let me see. Oh, no, you won't be able to see it. Well, anyway, it's got a ton of things. I mean, honestly, about 20 to-do things. I know that some of those things, I write them to jog my memory, but I know some of those things can be moved. Okay. They're not essential, but if I get to them, I'd like to. But it is really difficult when you book yourself not like every hour on the hour because sometimes you may need a break. Sometimes you'll have an emergency. So be careful that you don't overdo it, okay? And overbooking yourself. When you're at work, sometimes it can be easy to do that, but try to avoid it because sometimes things will happen and you need that wiggle room to take care of other little incidentals. So let me ask you, what do you guys do? If you can put it on the chat, what do you do to avoid interruptions? Whether it be at home or at work, what do you do to avoid interruptions? Put headphones. Good, Marianne. You think that is super important. My husband works in an office where there's a lot of people, and for some reason, they start playing football. It's a bunch of guys. So they start doing like, you know, to de-stress. I don't answer the phone. Good, Juanita. It's okay not to answer the phone, right? Or not to respond to a text right away or an email. It's okay. Close your door. Do not answer the phone or emails. Yes, Janice. So I don't know why we feel so bad at times when we don't respond right away, especially text messages, right? Because they're right there. I mean, unless it's like the boss, right? And it's an emergency, but or a child that is in need, an emergency, it's okay not to respond right away. It's okay not to answer the phone. It's okay to close the door. But what I was going to is the headphones. So these guys are kind of chaotic. So my husband bought those noise canceller headphones and they work charms. He's like, now I can focus because these guys are crazy, and he's got like all these reports to write. Okay, Rita's at the office. I close my door. At home, I let my family know that I am. Okay, very good. So, whenever you're doing anything that is a priority to you, and you have a time frame, right? Because you booked yourself 1 hour to work on this, or 2 hours, whatever the case may be, and you don't want to be interrupted, so you can finish. It's okay to tell people, "Hey, leave me alone for a little bit. I'm gonna be doing something that's really important. So unless it's an emergency, don't interrupt." Remember, setting boundaries, setting limits. And it doesn't mean our family members don't love us. It doesn't mean that our coworkers don't respect us, but sometimes we are too, what they say, too available. Sometimes we are just too available. Include time for yourself, guys. Okay. For meditation, for rest, for sleep. Include that time in there. When we write our priorities, please be putting that in there. And I say that because sometimes We are so focused on taking care of everybody else that we do not focus on ourselves. We do not focus on our mental health, our physical health, our strength, our cardio, our endurance, all those things that make up what makes us healthy. Okay. Make some time for your relationships. Make time to spend with your loved ones. Make time to spend with that BFF, that friend that you haven't talked to in a long time. That, when you call, you end up finding out she had surgery and you had no clue because you hadn't seen her or talked to her or whatever. Make time for physical activity. Physical activity, one of my kids, two of my kids are studying physical therapy, and they always say motion is lotion. What does that mean? That the more we move, the less ailments we're going to have, the more flexibility we're going to have, and the more energy we're going to have. So make time for that physical activity, whatever you like: gardening, walking, playing with your dog outside, whatever, but make time for it, even if it's 30 minutes a day. And we're going to talk about that in one of the other sessions. Move your body. We're going to get really specific about the recommendations for physical activity. And of course, your sleep. Make sure you get 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And I know for some people that is very difficult. Um, we are going to talk about some strategies in one of the other sessions as well that is in reference to sleep. But you know that when we don't get enough sleep, even our mind is foggy, we're tired. We may be hyped up in the morning because we drank coffee or some type of caffeine, but as the day progresses, we start, just really depleting that energy and that focus. So super important to make time for these 4 things that we're talking about here. So if you're having trouble managing your time, guys, analyze how you spend your time for several days. Um, you know, I did that. And you know what was taking up my time, and I think I've shared it before because I see some familiar names, is TikTok. So when I would go to bed, I would get on TikTok, and I would, before I knew it, I was like 2 hours on TikTok, because the videos are funny, right? So, but guess what? One of my priorities was reading the Bible. And before I knew it, I was so sleepy from TikTok that I wouldn't read the Bible. So I had to delete that app just because it was unproductive time. And it was like 2 hours. That's like a movie, going to the movie theater, right? But, you know, I I hadn't realized how much time TikTok took for me. So analyze how you're spending your time and do it for several days. Maybe you're spending too much time watching TV. Maybe you're spending too much time. Oh, Sylvia, you were saying for you it's very difficult because you have a lot of things to do. Okay. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. We have to set time frames for those to do things, and maybe say no. No, I'm not gonna be able to do that kind of deal. Uh so once you analyze your days and see, it's kind of like analyzing when we do a food journal when we're trying to lose weight and say like, I didn't realize how many tortillas I ate per day or how much starchy foods I ate, right? When we kind of start documenting, we see where we're losing a lot of time in an unproductive way. Okay. Adjust your methods. If maybe you need to wake up a little earlier to get more things done, if maybe you need to turn off the TV before you go to sleep because you're not getting enough sleep because you're distracted with the television. Uh, those are the adjustments. Once you analyze your time, those are the type of adjustments some people need to make. I know, like my husband says, I don't get enough sleep, but he's got the TV blaring, at all hours. And I'm like, he goes, it helps me relax. No, it doesn't. It keeps you entertained. And that blue light just keeps you all wired up. He thinks it helps him relax. It doesn't. It keeps him wired up and he can't sleep. So then he has to take melatonin before he goes, so he can kind of zonk out. So analyze your time. It'll kind of help you kind of adjust what you're doing that isn't working out right now. Okay. In your mornings, there's also what's recommended: simplify your life. We're going to be talking about your simplifying your mornings, simplifying your schedule, and simplifying your possessions. So in the mornings, of course, do the stuff you can the night before, whether it be take a shower the night before, put out the clothes you're going to wear the night before. Don't be figuring out that morning, Oh, what am I going to wear? Oh, did it even fit? I wore it last year and now it doesn't even fit, especially with the pandemic. Sylvia's saying she don't even watch TV she hasn't watched TV in a long time. Uh, maybe lay out your clothes, maybe prepare, kind of start preparation for the breakfast or for the next morning, or if there's going to be lunches that you're going to take to work or for your kids, do those kind of things the night before. So in the morning, you just kind of get up and those things are ready. Maybe wake up earlier, simplify the grooming. Maybe a ponytail will have to do for a while. Maybe the clothes you don't need to iron versus clothes you have to start, iron and starch. Maybe simple makeup versus, a lot of makeup. Just make it simple, so it can go faster. Um, Simplify your schedule. That kind of like Sylvia says, you have a lot to do. Maybe start saying no to some of those requests. Don't fill up your calendar. Schedule time for fun and relaxation. This is the next one, delegate. I know I don't know, as women or as moms, I don't know, but this is hard. We feel like only we can do it and only we can do it correctly. Because when somebody else does it, it's going to be done incorrectly. So we'd rather do it ourselves. Learn to delegate, guys. Maybe it won't be done exactly how you want it, but it doesn't mean it's not done correct, right, that it won't work. So it's okay to delegate house tasks. It's okay to delegate at work if you have somebody to delegate it to. Uh, it'll be fine. You can always review it. And if there's adjustments that need to be made, you can request those adjustments and combine errands. If you're going to go to the grocery store, but you also have to buy a gift for somebody, then, do those two things in one trip. Combine your errands. And your possessions, guys. Quality is the most important. Some people think, oh, I have a lot of clothes, or I have a lot of shoes, or I have a lot of whatever. It's not quantity, it's quality. So look at areas that you want to work on. Maybe like we mentioned, the garage or your closet or things like that. Decide where you want to start. Maybe you want to start with your shoes or dresses or jackets, or start in one area. Set a date and a time that you're going to work on that one area. Don't say your closet, because your closet can be pretty big, right? And that's going to be a huge undertaking. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to go through all my shoes and I'm going to get rid of the ones that I know, they don't fit anymore, they're too tight, or they're out of style, and I know I'm not going to wear it anymore, that kind of stuff. And then get others to help. It's okay to ask, you know, your family or your friends, hey, what do you think about this? And they may be like, get rid of it, girl. It's like out of season. It looks horrible. It never really fit you well. And, whatever. Or you haven't worn it in 3 years, right? How many of us keep like that pretty blouse that looked really nice, in 2015, and we need to get rid of it. So get others to help you out, but be very specific what you're going to work on. Give it a time frame, and start getting rid of some of the things that clutter our lives. Go through items in each area, like we talked about. Maybe you start with shoes, and then maybe with your pants, and then maybe with your tops, and then maybe with your dresses. Again, I'm using a closet, guys, but this can apply for your desk at work. Maybe you have a desk full of papers that you don't even know what's what. Sort things into categories. So you can have the pile of things you're going to keep, because yes, absolutely, you're going to need it. Things that you can donate, things that you can either throw away or recycle, or things you can fix. And then get a box for the things you're not sure about. Get a box. Those unsure things, put them in a box. This is a recommendation. Put them in a box and seal that box. If in 1 year you didn't need to reopen that box to grab that item, you didn't need it. So then get rid of it. Donate it to Goodwill or just throw it away. That's a good way to know what to do with those unsure things, right? So put it in a box, seal the box. If you did not have to reopen it during a year to get an item, then you don't need that item. Does that make sense? That's a recommendation. Because I know some of us can be hoarders. We don't want to get, oh, it's such a pretty blouse. It costs so much money, and I only wore it twice. Okay, but it's been 2 years. You haven't worn it. or it doesn't fit anymore, or whatever the case, and maybe you want to donate it to somebody who will actually put it to good use. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys, can you share one idea of how you can simplify your life? Just one idea, because I don't know your life. So, like I would say, maybe like Juanita could say no to some projects. For example, if you have a lot of projects, or Sylvia, or whomever. Oh, yeah, it was Sylvia. So, can you tell me one thing that you could do in your life to make it a little simpler that maybe you've been hesitant to do, but maybe it would work to relieve maybe your stress or your demands? One thing, okay, Marianne, getting outfits ready at night. Very good. Anybody else? What could you do to simplify your life? Just Marianne? Everybody's life is, oh, delegate, Sylvia. Good. That's a good one. Seriously, delegate. That is an excellent one. I know we hate to lose control because some of us may be like a little bit control freaks. And we're like, no, I got to do this because, man, my kids do it horribly, or my husband does it horribly, or if I told my coworker to do this or the secretary, it's not going to look the way I want it to look, or whatever. You know what? Simplify your life. Just because it's not done exactly how you would have done it doesn't mean it's not right. Um, I know my daughter, what she does, because she's, "Well, you don't know. Oh, you don't know if you can. So he says, but I don't know if I can delegate. Yeah, it's about letting go. It's about letting go. Uh, my daughter, like her hair, she showers at night and she actually blow dries her hair. So in the morning, it won't be, kind of out of control, and it can look nicer in the morning a lot quicker. Uh, no problem, Miss Rita. No problem. Yes, Juanita, let things go. Absolutely. Um, so let me look at the time. Okay, it's 10:42. I said I was going to keep you all honest. Uh, Maybe I could donate the clothes that doesn't fit me since I gained weight, but they are still in very good. Yes, absolutely, Anna. And I was one that I gained 10 pounds during the pandemic, and I'm like, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. And I'm gonna lose it. I'm going to the gym. But realistically, there's some things there that just aren't fitting well. Like maybe they're not age appropriate, or they just don't look right on me. And I do donate my clothes. Sometimes you just need to declutter. So find ways to simplify your life, to make it easier. Say no, don't overbook yourself, things like that. And try not to feel guilty. And I can tell you that if you have a family member that's willing to sweep and mop, even though they don't do it as beautifully as you do, let them do it. It's okay. You're freeing up time for you to do other more important things than sweeping and mopping. And they're learning how to, eventually they'll do it enough times where they get really good at it. How are they going to get good at things if you don't give them the opportunity to do it? So there's that. So just in summary, and we're already finishing up, determine your priorities like we talked about, analyze them. Really put thought to it. What are my priorities? If I say my priorities are my health and my family and my spirituality, but I'm spending all of my time working and stressing and cleaning, then why are my priorities not jiving, with how I spend my time? And how can I go slower and make these things jive and spend more of my time with my family, with my spirituality, things like that. Let's not let work and cleaning and those tedious tasks absorb our valuable time. Nobody's saying don't do them, but we're obviously sometimes spending way too much on those things and not the things that mean a lot to us. Okay. So when you make goals, and this is before I leave you, when you make goals, make your goals very specific. Okay. I am going to, don't clean out my shoe rack. Don't say I'm going to clean my closet, because that's going to be like or my, my garage, because that's huge. But if you say my shoes, that's really specific, measurable. I'm going to do that Saturday, yeah, from 10 to 11. Achievable. Is it achievable to clean out your shoe rack? If you say um, the whole closet, probably not. You'll need a few days for your whole closet, but maybe your shoes, yes. Um, Reward yourself. Hey, you got rid of some shoes. Maybe you say, you know what? I've been wanting these new wedges for the summer. I'm gonna go and they're on sale. I'm gonna go get me those wedges because you know what? I cleared out a bunch of shoes I hadn't worn in years. And then time bound. I want to get it done in July because the fall's gonna come and I need to get rid of all these shoes because I want you know to free up space for the fall. Just an example. Make it smart, specific, measurable, achievable, rewarding, and time bound. Same with money. If you say, I'm going to pay off bills, well, that's really general. But if you say, I am going to not get new credit cards, that's easier to do, right? So make it very specific, very measurable, very achievable. That is the recommendation. So does anybody have any questions when it comes to time management? I know these are kind of general things, but sometimes we don't put things into practice or it's difficult to let go of all the things we have going on in our lives to free up space for the really valuable things that we treasure. We're just doing a lot of busy work and not valuable work per se. So any questions? No questions? Awesome.
Yes, I have a question.
Oh, you have a question. Yes, how many?
Yeah, it's the most hard for me to deal with the time. You know, it's if the time has 36 hours, it's gonna be better for me to complete everything or the most. The thing is, I don't have enough time to do the thing that I need to do on that day, for example, because I'm coming to work and they asking a lot of stuff to do, so we try to complete or keep working little by little. But when I get home, I want to rest. I rest a little bit. Sometimes I fall asleep, but I need to do after that some another stuff that is another kind of job, but it's for helping another people in the faith. So I have to do my program for radio. So I do it by myself and I spend 1 hour the program. So I have to prepare the music, the time, the sound and everything. So it's take me time. So I spend in that like 2 hours and then I have to eat. And then when I want to eat, I don't have enough energy or I don't feel strong to do it. And then I have to fix the stuff for the next day to come into work. So the time is very few that I have for myself. So mostly I'm very tired. I cannot sleep all the hours that I need because I need to complete for each day of the week
Yeah.
um, my radio program and some another stuff. Then sometimes because I'm the head of the family, so I have to do this, that, that. I'm a single mother, so it's very hard for me. And I try to complete everything, but I have to complete it until after 12 at night.
Midnight. Oh,
Yeah, so I do my program so at that time, that way I can send it for the morning and things like that. So I'm losing time for sleeping or resting well. So every time I have a headache, and so the time is too rush for me. I
yes.
cannot complete what the things that I have to do. So dealing things with the house and things, so I try to say help, somebody help me, but I sometimes I don't have that help.
That
So
helps.
it's hard for me.
Does okay. I have a recommendation, but I want to anybody here on the chat or want to mute yourself to give give her some ideas, Miss Sylvia. What would you do if you were in her shoes? So Sylvia, you because it is Sylvia. I'm trying to see. Um,
Yeah, Silvia Gonzalez.
Sylvia, right? Okay, so you have work, then you
Mhm.
have programs for church. Is that right?
Yes, for the
And
radio.
for the radio, okay. And then you're a single mom.
Yes.
Okay, how many kiddos?
I have three, but they don't live with me right now. Well, my baby is not at home right now. It's in a camp with
Mhm.
another kid, helping another kids, high school kids or middle school or elementary. It's a Christian camp also.
Oh, okay.
So he's not here. So he coming back until August, half of 15 or 16 of August.
Yeah. You're in a difficult situation. Um, but with that said, if you remember, some of the recommendations are one, to delegate. And you know what? I know that you asked for help, but delegating doesn't mean asking for help. It means assigning. How many times have we asked people, hey, does anybody want to help out with the fundraiser? Nobody raises their hand,
Yeah.
right? Okay. How many times have we done that? So, delegating means, okay, if there's a radio project, and if it's, let's say, a ministry from your church, you need to kind of be assertive enough to say, you know what, I want to continue this ministry, but without help, it's gonna it's gonna end. I need help. It's affecting my health. That way they can help you put that program together, and it's not all on you, and you're not working past 12 midnight after you've done a whole day at work. you know I mean, I had me and a few other friends had a youth ministry at church back where I came from. We had it for 8 years, and it came down to, we got older. I'm going to be 51, and it gets to a point where you get a little too old to be dealing with all those teenagers. We had over 100, and we told our parish, we need help to continue the youth ministry, and if nobody's willing to take it on, then it's going to end. Man, we didn't say, can anybody want to, because we did ask, does anybody want the youth ministry? Well, of course, nobody. It's a lot of work, a lot of work. But when we said, okay, well, we're getting older, and, now, I was going to move. So I was like, okay, it's going to either end, or somebody, a group, not just one person, um, and we'll train you and we'll provide all the resources, but people got to help. It's either you do it or it ends. And you'd be surprised how many people actually say, "Oh yeah, I'll help you with this. I'll help you with that." So Sylvia, you gotta not ask, tell. I'm sorry, but that's delegating. Keep Marianne put, maybe Sylvia can identify her support system or join a group to gain that needed support. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Marianne. So who do you have that you can count on? Like even family, like your kids, you say that they're older. I know one of them is at a camp, but he or she is going to come back. So delegating the household chores, the cooking, um, taking turns, like Marianne said, identify who's there to help you at work and who's there to help you at home. Who can you count on, and identify those people. And it's okay to get help. And you know what, Sylvia, I'm going to tell you one thing. It sounds like it's affecting your health. And
Yeah.
if it gets to a point where nobody's stepping up to the plate, then you need to stop, like empty out your plate. You got a full plate, a very, 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 very full plate. And you may need to stop some of your projects as much as you love them. If nobody's willing to step up to the plate and help you, because if you get sick, guess what? That radio ministry, it's going to end anyway. If you get sick, right? So I got, it's going to end. It's over. It's kaput. So you may need to get to that point to say, you know what, if nobody's willing to step up, I tried delegating, learn to say no. Juanita says, learn to say no. Yeah, absolutely. Learn to say no. And that's definitely one of the recommendations. Either, and talk to and say, hey, I love you guys. I love doing this. But if I don't get 3 volunteers, don't say any volunteers, say, I need 3 volunteers because it takes this, and that to put this program together. And I'm getting sick. And if I get sick, it's just not going to happen, period. So, I mean, I'm sure your parish it's got people, it's got parishioners, and they're benefiting from that radio, you know, program that you have. So learn, you've got excellent suggestions from Marianne, from Juanita, learn to say no. Look at your support system, Sylvia, who's there that you can count on.
Mhm.
And if the answer is no, Juanita, if you're like, I already looked and there's nobody, then you need to let go of some of these responsibilities for a while before you get sick. Before you get sick. I mean, I know that you're serving the Lord, and that's good. I'm sure the Lord will find something else for you to do that isn't going to get you sick. you know, I'm sure. Any other suggestions, guys? And you're in a spot. I've been there. I've been there. My kids were little when we started the youth group, so it was like, and they were too young for youth group because it was for teenagers and they weren't teens yet. So I felt it, but we asked for help. We said, if y'all don't help out, then it's not gonna happen. Man, there were people, oh, we'll help with this, we'll help with the fundraisers, we'll help with the food. All of a sudden we had a bunch of people, a bunch of mamas cooking the food during youth group, which we needed that help so we could actually hold the youth group, host it, and do the lessons. You'd be surprised how many people say, okay, I don't know how to talk to kids, but I know how to cook. Well, you're talking to them and we can feed them. You know what I mean? I'm just saying there's people who will know how to do stuff that can free up some of your time. Juanita, did you have a suggestion?
Yes, I'm also very active. I'm a church. I'm a lecturer. I'm a CCD teacher, and I'm in the choir. I do a lot. But yes, if they know, usually I'm very vocal, so that will help me. But when they see people that they don't say no, or they don't try to just say no, or they don't try to help or something, they keep putting more in you. No, okay, well, tell her, she won't say nothing. And that's what happens. So even with me, I tell them, no, I already had the CCD ministry, so I won't be doing this. I had to prepare for my classes every Saturday or every time we had the class. And I noticed, like, now with the lectures, there's a new lady. They've been putting her reading on every single mass and Saturdays and Sundays. And I went and told the guy that is in charge. She has little ones. The new girl has little ones. And then she has to come Saturday and Sunday and Wednesday. You need to give her a break. If not, she's going to stop doing it. Because that's what happened. A lot of people, they don't realize we also have families, and we have, a life. I just recently retired. I'm a health educator, retired from UT Health Science Center. And yes, this past week, after retired from UT Health, I got a part-time job as a community health worker. And just this past week, I stopped working as a community health worker on the particular agency. So, but I always have people calling me because they know I have a lot of resources to help people, and they always calling me. Do you know where I can get this? Do you know all these things? But that's why I don't answer my phone. Most of the people, I tell them, leave me a message. Then I check my messages, and then if I know the answer, even if I don't answer, even if I don't know the answer, I will call them back and tell them, I don't know about that resource, but I'm gonna find that. But I don't answer my phone because I was getting calls at 9:00 at night. The ladies telling me, Miss Juanita, you helped me apply for rent assistance, and I haven't got any help. And I said, well, I check in the morning. I'm at home. I don't have my paperwork here. But I could sleep because all night long I was worried about, oh my God, they didn't pay her the rent and all this. So that's what happened. We get the other people's problems in our mind. And that's good. I love to do that. I love to help people. But I've been learning to say no and stay a little bit behind, especially now that I stopped working for this community agency. Kind of not to answer the phone all day long and things like that. So we need to learn how to stay behind and say no.
No, wonderful. Okay, Marianne, thank you. We'll see you next week. Just Juanita is very right. Sylvia, I think you really need to, hi, Miss Betty, we're finishing up already. But we will have a recording, okay? We can't hear you though, you're muted. But Sylvia, so in a nutshell, ask for help, ask for a specific number. How many people do you need to get those projects done? Like your radio ministry or whatever it is. At home, ask your kids. They, you know, my husband gets all flustered. Oh, the yard on the weekends. Hey, we have 2 boys, very strong. Get them out there. But they don't do it right. Who cares? They're gonna do it right when they do it enough times, and they'll learn to do it right. If you don't give them the opportunity to learn to do it right, they're never gonna learn. Déjalos, let them, you know? So he's like, okay, it's not gonna look how I want it to look. It doesn't matter. Just let them do it. Teach them how to do it correctly, and eventually they'll do it your way, because evidently his way is the only way, right? But we need to let go of that control that we feel we need to have. If not, Miss Sylvia, you're gonna get sick. It's as simple as that. And then you're not gonna do anything at home or at work or at the church. Then Sylvia's out of commission, right? So vamos a regañar a Sylvia. We're gonna get after Sylvia for not saying no.
I hope.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, there's a QR code for a survey. I would really, and it's a course evaluation for this particular lesson. I would really appreciate you guys filling it out. I will email you the lessons, the handouts, and I will email you a link for this survey. Like I said, your response would be greatly appreciated, because that's how we know if you're getting anything out of these lessons, okay? And if not, no, well, please fill it out. And we'll see you next week at the same time at 10 a.m. We'll be with you again. These lessons are recorded. So if you want the recording, please let me know and I can email you the link as well.
Thank you very much. And I apologize. I get doing something else. And
No
but hopefully
worries.
next week, God willing, I will see y'all.
Absolutely, Miss Betty. All right, guys.
you.
Well, have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.